I don't know what happened then. I don't know if I lost you. I don't know if you were still there. But it's just stopped saying live on my screen, so... So, I'm sorry if that got cut off. I'll just wait for people to log on again. This is just me giving an update to my court trial, which will take place on the 27th of September at the Old Bailey. Can you believe that? I'm being taken to the highest court in this land, the highest, most senior court, a court that's used to hearing terrorism charges, some of the most high-profile murders in Britain. And now it's going to face the trial of Tommy Robinson, who spoke through his iPhone and gave people information that's already in the public domain. Kid you not. Anyway, so I'll start again. I don't want to be, I know I'm going to be repeating myself. But originally, I was sent to prison for breaching a Section 4 reporting restriction. Now, the Section 4, and this is the, I know I haven't done live streams for a little while. I've been trying to sort some stuff out. I've had so much going on, and I've just been waiting for this court date, to be honest. It's like, I can't really get on with my life because I expect to go back to prison next Thursday. So I haven't been able to really make plans. I'm doing this now just as a live stream instead of making a video and putting it out. Kaylin and George are no longer working with me at the minute. But so I'm just doing a quick live update so I can keep people informed. Because I was originally sent to prison for breaching a Section 4 reporting restriction order. That's what they took me to court for. That's what they tried me for. And in a kangaroo court, sent me to prison for. Now, they're added 2 extra charges. So when I go before the Old Bailey, I'm not just up on that one order. They've widened that order. So all the people, I know a lot of comments, I keep seeing people saying, this is going to get thrown out. And it should get thrown out. But they're not. They're going all guns blazing. They're trying to, I've just been told tonight, 2 years in prison. 2 years in prison. 2 years in prison for speaking through my phone and giving people information. So on the Section 4 reporting restriction that I'm meant to have breached, the reporting restriction says no reporting on these proceedings whatsoever. That's basically what it says. But then if you read the law, which is what I done the morning of that court. So the morning I went to that court, I went into court, I looked up on the screen to see what the reporting restriction was. There was nothing on the screen about a reporting restriction. Now, their own guideline says there has to be. I've got a photograph from the screen that day that says that proves there wasn't. There was nothing on the door either. So then I looked online at reporting restrictions. Now, what the law states is that the judge has no power to issue reporting restrictions over any information that's already in the public domain, which makes sense. Because if you can find it on the internet, what's the point in having a reporting restriction on it? So then I stood outside court and I'd done what I'd gone to training previously on contempt of court. So I made sure that I didn't presume the men's guilt, that I pointed out that they're innocent till proven guilty, that I didn't stand on the court property. And then I stood there and made the public aware of the ins and outs of parts of this case, all the stuff that's in the public domain. I knew lots of stuff that wasn't in the public domain. I still do. I never shared it or spoke about it. I never in any way would want to jeopardise one of those trials. In fact, I've spent the last 10 years trying to highlight these issues and bring them to the public's attention and force the police into bringing prosecutions against these people. Why would I want to do something that I thought could damage it? So the last thing I'd want to do was that. So I went up there, I stood there calmly. I asked the men how they felt about their verdict. Now, one of the issues that, when I've gone through in my legal teams, is that may be one of the issues that I asked them about their verdict. When I go to court on next Thursday, many of you will watch live. Watch all the press. Watch how they behave towards me. Now, the widening of their case. So originally it's breaching this Section 4 reporting restriction. Now, the Section 4 reporting restriction was not just on the alleged Muslim paedophile case. It was also on when he sent me to prison, he also continued this reporting restriction on that. Now, 3 newspapers that weekend breached that reporting restriction. I've got evidence and photographs of all of them. Hull Daily Mail, Leeds Live. They all broke the reporting restriction. None of them have been prosecuted. None of them. 2 weeks after I was in prison, Scottish Telegraph paper breached a reporting restriction. They got a fine. Rod Liddell writes for the Sunday Times. During the Stephen Lawrence murder trial, he breached a reporting restriction and almost clapped the trial. He got a £4,000 fine. A journalist I met the other day breached a reporting restriction and collapsed a murder trial at Leeds Crown Court. Nothing happened to him. So that people understand, reporting restrictions are commonly broken across this country by journalists. None of them ever gone to jail. In fact, the government's own guidelines, if you read them, state that by sending journalists to prison, in fact, the journalists should never get done. The company who's paying who they work for should be the people who get the fine, not prison. Now, the reason I'm facing 2 extra charges, let me just detail so that, and the reason why I want to do this is because when you all read the news headlines on Thursday, Tommy Robinson sent to prison for bringing prejudice to trial, and all the news headlines run everywhere saying, see, look, he was guilty, look what he done. Yeah? What the allegations now against me are, this is what it is, I'll read you it. This is what I'm facing prison for. I referred to the religion of the defendants, the ethnicity of the victims, in the context of his opinion, presented as a fact that those of the defendants' religion were disproportionately likely to commit crimes of the sort for which the defendants were being tried. So basically, I said that Muslims are overrepresented in convictions for sexual exploitation of young children. 90% of the convictions for child exploitation in grooming gangs is Muslim men. Muslims make up 4% of the British population, yet they're responsible for 90% of the convictions. That's a fact. I'm sorry, which I've just sat down and I've had this out now with I've gone through one law firm because I was being advised that I must apologise. I must meet the government in the middle. I must meet them in the middle, apologise and plead guilty, and then I will get to go home from court that day. If I don't do that, which I'm not going to do that, then I will be going to prison. So the fact that I presented a fact, which is what it is, it's a fact compiled actually by a Muslim organisation called Quilliam that done the data and the facts of the convictions. So I presented a fact, and I know we don't like facts in this country anymore. The other point, highlighting as significant the sexual references of the abuse that he had elicited from the defendants that he had confronted. So as these Muslim men walked into court, or I might get done there for mentioning they're Muslim, as these Muslim men walked into court, I didn't confront them. I said, like a journalist would, how are you feeling about your verdict, sir? I was very calm and polite. The response I received was sexual remarks of rape against my mother and my wife. So because they made those remarks against me, that, clearly reading here, is what they want to send me to prison for. I kid you not. More generally, making highly derogatory comments about the ethnic and religious backgrounds and associations of the defendants. What they use as that. Now, the derogatory comments that I meant to have used, let me read you them. And when they're convicted, the families shout about the girls being slags, 11-year-old slags. They'd be children. But of course, under Islamic ideology, they're not children, they're women, as soon as they start their periods. So they see it as their own fault, that is their fault, and that they're on the streets and they shouldn't have been out late at night, and all these things are our fault, and it has nothing to do with the men that are abusing, or you hear certain politicians that turn around and say it's an opportunity. They're taxi drivers, it's because of the opportunity. Well, don't all non-Muslim taxi drivers have the same opportunity? But they don't do it in a mass scale, so it's obviously not to do with opportunity. So the derogatory, this is the government, this is from the government, The derogatory comments about the ethnic and religious backgrounds and associations. So because I said under Islamic ideology that they're not young girls, they're women, because they are under Islamic ideology, it's another fact. It's another bloody fact. So because I said that, making statements and selection of defendants for filming indicating an assumption of personal belief in the fact that complainants have been subject to the abuse alleged and the guilt of the defendants, notwithstanding repeated reference of them being allegations. So these are the points. These are the points. So the points are, these are not the points I was originally tried on. I was originally tried on just breaching the reporting restriction. They've widened that now. Now, so you understand what happens. I'm walking into court and I will be tried by the judge. The same judge that is prosecuting me. Okay? Not by an independent prosecutor. That's the way I read this, yeah? That's from what I understand at the minute, unless something drastically changes on Thursday. I will be tried, and rather than being tried on breaching the reporting restriction, the same reporting restriction that multiple newspapers breached on the same weekend, that none of them face charges for. That, Section 4, is what I'll be tried on. And then the fact that I mentioned that they're Muslim. That's what they want to send me to prison for. Clearly here, I'll let you read it. Just so you can get it. It's all there. I'll take a photo. I'll put it online. Because the men walking into court said they wanted to fuck my mother, they want to send me to prison. And because I made highly derogatory comments about their religion, derogatory factual comments. So, and the thing is, when I went outside court, everything I said is in the public domain. Okay? I didn't assume the men's guilt. I didn't confront them, as I had done years before. In any sort of aggressive manner, I didn't make comments. I made sure I stuck within the law. But with contempt of court, it's a strict liability law, which basically means the judge can say what he wants. Now, contempt laws were brought in Britain, I think, 70 years ago. Never in 70 years has anyone or any journalist been prosecuted, sent to prison for it. Now, ask yourself this. If this was about law, just the law, no politics, keep the politics out of it. If this is about me breaking a law, then ask yourself this. If I stood outside of a court trial on any other issue, yeah? Say there was a reporting restriction on anything else other than Muslim paedophiles, yeah? If there was a case of anything else and I broke that restriction, does anyone think within 3 hours I'd have been sentenced to 13 months in prison? When you can see all the things that happened when I went to cut... Now, what they're saying is that for the crime of talking through my iPhone and revealing information that's already in the public domain, for the crime of giving facts and figures and statistics about convictions in the UK, for that crime, they don't feel that 2.5 months solitary confinement, starved, and subject to non-stop threats and non-stop bullshit for the whole of that sentence, with without my rights that I should have had, they don't think that's enough. They don't think that's enough. So now they want me at the Old Bailey and they want to add extra charges. And you'll all watch as this unfolds on Thursday, where the mainstream media will do the government's job for them by bullshitting you on what's happened in court and the reasons why I should be convicted. Just like last time, they all come out as experts without even reading what happened in court. None of them even knew what went on. No one knew. None of them even tried to find out. Or they said, yes, he should definitely be in jail. He was on a suspended sentence. I was on and it's committal. So it's a civil offence. Now, if someone broke the law, if someone done this crime, yeah, 2 weeks after I was in prison, it's just insane the amount of people that have done this and don't get done. So if an ordinary person, not Tommy Robinson, went and got charged with this crime, say, for example, it's a civil offence. So they go to, at worst, a Category D prison, an open prison, where they can come home, they just go to prison at night and sleep, and the rest of the time they're out, they get their own key to their cell, they don't get locked up. But because obviously this isn't what this is about, when I was in prison on 13 months, now they're not happy because I got out. And I got out because we proved all the illegalities around what they'd done. Now, I had already been given conditions. My conditions were not to, I would not be allowed to do what I'm doing to you now. Me sitting here talking to you now, if they give me the conditions that they were trying to give me when I was in prison, they said, you're going to be released from prison, these are your conditions. I would not be allowed on the internet. Yeah? That's what this is about. This is much more than you broke a reporting restriction. Yeah? Journalists break reporting restrictions every fucking week. They don't get 13 months in prison. Right? They don't go to jail. They don't get taken to the Old Bailey. It's absolutely farcical. There was no malicious intention on the day of that. You've all watched the video. Everyone has watched the video. But I just wanted to just detail these extra charges that they've thrown in about me saying that they were Muslim. Like the jury wouldn't have known they're bloody Muslim. The jury in this country, I've seen some arguments about fair trial. The jury in this country are clearly told it's against the law for them to research, look in, or go online and look at any of their court cases or anything to do with it. It's against the law. So what's all this about here? What are you talking about fair trial? Like, what's the need for these reporting restrictions? America does not have this issue because they have free speech. When people say, yeah, but you need to give them a fair trial, what, like Rolf Harris? Like every other person that walks into court, they get reported on. They get reported on. Okay? The last 6 Muslim grooming gang convictions have all had these conditions put on them. So what these conditions mean is that for the whole time of the trial, the duration, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 4 months, you will not hear a thing. You won't hear the crimes that have been committed to the children, the individual crimes. You won't hear the details, the religious comments made, the racial comments made, the barbaric things these children had to go through, the people involved, the details. You won't hear a word of it. And at the end, when the trial finishes, they'll then lift the reporting restriction, and for one day, you'll get the news that 10 men, 20 men, 30 men have been convicted. And that's it. Gone. So, forgive me for viewing this in the way that I believe these reporting restrictions. We've all seen other people outside these court cases reporting. Most recently, just last week, there was another. The case I was reporting on was to do with the city of Huddersfield. There's another 30 men face charges now in Huddersfield. Exactly the same memo. Yeah? People were outside live streaming it. No one's been arrested. The point briefly, I haven't done any live streams, I haven't made any videos. I've just been waiting with this hanging over my head, trying to sort my stuff out, trying to spend time with my family because I expect wholeheartedly to go to prison on Thursday. And after being offered, if I plead guilty and apologise and I don't go to jail, I'm sorry, but I honestly don't think that a British citizen stating facts or information that's already in the public domain, if it's not meant to be in the public domain, then why was it not all deleted? Why was all the things I was talking about readily available to find online? The jury would have seen them all because they've all been in their local bloody newspapers. They've been all over the national news. The information that I was putting together, and I made sure of that. It was only information in the public domain. Now, how can I go into a court and apologise for trying to raise awareness about these sorts of cases when I know wholeheartedly nothing I said prejudiced that trial? Nothing. I made it clear they're innocent until proven guilty. I made it clear. And I feel that, that's how, I just feel that I face court on Thursday. It's at the Old Bailey. People have, since the minute I come into custody, people run a movement. People wrote me letters. People supported my family. People are now still supporting me now. Ezra Levant, I'd like to say a special thank you to Ezra, because from when I went into custody, it's one less thing to deal with. And to be honest, I ain't been in the right frame of mind to deal with most things. So Ezra completely took over everything for the legal side of it. And I've gone through, my QC represented me in the previous cases, not represented me on this one. I've had a week where I've been in London 3 times this week, meeting up with barristers, trying to find someone that will fight the establishment on the issues, which has been pretty fucking hard. It's been pretty difficult. Do you know what? Through the years, Ezra can tell you, trying to find lawyers to represent us. We'll go through firm after firm. None of them want to touch it. But Carson and Kay are my solicitors. They're representing me on this. And a special thank you to anyone that supported me. Before this goes to trial, when this goes to trial, there'll be lots of arguments put forward to do with things many people wouldn't have heard about yet in this case. But the worst case scenario, or the way I actually see it going, is that they'll run with a trial on the 27th on Thursday. And I'll be convicted. Not by a British jury, not by members of the British public, but by a judge. And then it's up to the judge what he does. When anyone who's watched this knows that it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Want to send me back to prison for what? But that's what I think will happen. So this is just a quick, I'm going to repeat myself now, but it's just a quick message to say a special thank you to every single person who supported me, anyone that's wrote me letters, anyone that's spent their hard time, effort, travelling to London for campaigns, for demonstrations, for marches. The only other thing I take out of this is that when I went to prison or go into prison, yeah, it's shit. It's not good. I'm not going to say I'm not. I am worried about going to jail. I'm worried about my family. I'm worried about the consequences on them, on my children. Of course, I'd worry like every other father or dad would do. But as far as our cause goes, this is where the government will make a decision on Thursday whether they're seen across this world as a I always say the word wrong, a draconian government who wish to imprison people, who wish to silence people. And yeah, I don't think Thursday the 27th at the Old Bailey is Judgment Day for Tommy Robinson. I think it's Judgment Day for the British government and the establishment, because the rest of the world are watching, and the world can see, and the world already have a view of the wrongdoings in this. Let's see if they make another one on Thursday. So again, thank you everyone. I'm going to spend a peacetime chilled. If Thursday goes the way I want to, I'm setting up a new team, and I'll be back out bringing you videos, showing you the news the media refuse to. Thank you all.